The warning klaxons aboard the research station Copernicus had been screaming for 3 minutes when Dr. Sarah Chen finally looked up from her quantum displays. The swirling mass of contained plasma in her test chamber cast eerie shadows across her face as she quickly initiated the shutdown sequence. Through the reinforced windows of her lab, she could see the massive form of an alien vessel emerging from what appeared to be a tear in space itself. All personnel, this is not a drill. Station Director Hammond's voice crackled through the comm system. First contact protocols are now in effect. All research personnel are to secure their stations and proceed to designated safe zones immediately. Sarah's hands flew across her console, backing up her latest test data. The breakthrough she'd achieved just hours ago, successfully containing plasma using quantum-assisted magnetic fields, seemed suddenly insignificant in the face of humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. As she initiated the final shutdown sequence, her quantum sensors picked up something unusual from the alien vessel. Dr. Chen to Director Hammond. She called over the emergency channel. "Sir, I'm detecting massive quantum field fluctuations from the alien ship. They're using some form of quantum technology, but..." She paused, studying the readings more carefully. "Their approach is completely different from ours." There was a moment of silence before Hammond responded. "Different how, Doctor?" "They're brute forcing it," she replied, her excitement building as she analyzed the data. "Their quantum field manipulation is incredibly powerful but inefficient. They're using raw energy to compensate for lack of precision." A smile slowly spread across her face as she realized the implications. "Sir, they don't understand quantum mechanics the way we do." The alien vessel, nearly 3 kilometers in length, had now fully emerged from its spatial tear. Its hull was covered in what appeared to be crystalline structures that pulsed with internal energy. As Sarah watched, smaller craft began launching from its hangar base. "This is Commander Nexer of the Collective Vanguard." A voice boomed through all communication channels, translated into perfect English. "Your species has been monitored since achieving spaceflight. You have now advanced sufficiently to warrant formal contact. Prepare for integration into the collective. Resistance would be unfortunate." Sarah's fingers were already flying across her keyboard, correlating the alien ship's energy readings with her own research. The collective's quantum technology was impressive, but their fundamental understanding was flawed. They relied on overwhelming power rather than finesse, exactly the opposite of the approach she'd been perfecting. "Director," she called again, "I need to speak with Defense Command immediately. My plasma containment research. I think I'd found a weakness we can exploit." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. While Earth's governmental and military leaders engaged in tense negotiations with the collective representatives, Sarah and her team worked frantically to adapt their research. The aliens' demands became increasingly clear. Earth could join the collective as a protected species, surrendering its independence in exchange for access to advanced technology, or face immediate military action. The collective's arrogance was evident in every interaction. They seemed genuinely amused by humanity's attempts to maintain sovereignty, dismissing Earth's military capabilities as primitive. Their own weapons systems, powered by brute force quantum manipulation, were indeed far beyond anything humanity had developed conventionally. But they hadn't counted on Dr. Sarah Chen and her team. "The principle is simple," Sarah explained to the Joint Chiefs, her holographic presentation showing the complex quantum mechanics involved. "The collective's quantum fields are powerful but inefficient. They create massive energy barriers that nothing can penetrate, unless you know exactly where to hit them." She brought up a simulation showing her modified plasma containment system. "Our quantum-assisted plasma weapons don't try to overpower their shields. Instead, they create precisely calibrated quantum disruptions that cause their fields to collapse in on themselves. It's like finding the resonant frequency of a wine glass and shattering it with sound." Admiral Torres leaned forward, his expression intense. "How quickly can we weaponize this?" Sarah gestured to the prototype behind her. "We already have. This is the QP-1 prototype, small enough to mount on our existing vessels, powerful enough to punch through their shields. We've been running simulations using the data we gathered from their ships. It works, Admiral, every time. How many can you build? With the resources of every major physics lab on Earth and Luna, we can have the first batch ready in 2 weeks. But, she paused, considering her next words carefully. I suggest we don't reveal this capability until we have to. Let them think we're helpless. Let them think we're primitive. The Admiral smiled grimly. My thoughts exactly, Doctor. Keep working. I'll make sure you get everything you need. As Sarah returned to her lab aboard the Copernicus, she caught another glimpse of the collective vessel through the station's windows. Its crystalline structures still pulsed with that same arrogant display of power, unaware that its greatest weakness had already been discovered. In their quest for overwhelming force, they'd forgotten the importance of elegance in quantum mechanics. It was a mistake that would cost them dearly. Humanity had one shot at this. They needed to make it count. Project Helios transformed the Armstrong lunar base into a hive of activity virtually overnight. Behind its civilian research facade, the facility's deepest levels now housed humanity's greatest secret, the mass production of quantum plasma weapons. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the central manufacturing hub, watching as robotic arms assembled another batch of QP-1 weapons with precision that would have been impossible just months ago. Production is ahead of schedule, Colonel James Martinez reported, consulting his tablet. We've equipped 15 ships so far, all hidden in the asteroid belt. The collective sensors still can't distinguish them from mining vessels. Sarah nodded, her attention fixed on the quantum stability readings of the latest batch. The weapons had to be perfect. They'd only get one chance at this. The collective's deadline for Earth's surrender was approaching fast, and their patrol ships had grown increasingly aggressive in their demonstrations of power. What's the status on the Helios cannon? She asked, turning to face the massive installation that dominated the facility's main chamber. Unlike the smaller QP-1s designed for ships, the Helios was something else entirely. A planetary defense weapon that made Sarah both proud and terrified. Final calibration phase, Martins replied. Though I still don't understand why we're building something this big when the smaller weapons work just fine. Sarah walked over to the cannon's control console, bringing up the theoretical models. Because the collective isn't stupid, Colonel. Once we reveal the QP-1s, they'll adapt. The Helios operates on different principles. It's our backup plan. The facility's intercom crackled to life. Dr. Chen, priority message from Defense Command. In the communications center, Admiral Torres's hologram looked grim. The collective's getting impatient, Doctor. They've demanded access to all our military installations for inspection before they'll even consider extending the deadline. Let them, Sarah replied immediately, earning surprised looks from everyone present. In fact, I want to give their inspection team a tour of this facility personally. Doctor, have you lost your mind? Martinez interjected, but Sarah held up a hand. Think about it. They're so convinced of their superiority that they won't recognize what they're looking at. We'll show them exactly what we're building, and their own arrogance will blind them to the truth. The plan was audacious, but Sarah was proven right. 3 days later, she led a delegation of collective scientists through the Armstrong facility. The aliens, tall crystalline beings that seemed to shimmer with internal energy, barely glanced at the primitive equipment. Your quantum research is quaint, the lead inspector declared. Its crystalline form vibrating in what Sarah had learned was amusement, though uncurious about these containment fields. They seem remarkably inefficient. We're still learning, Sarah replied humbly. Our understanding of quantum mechanics is limited compared to the collective's mastery. The inspector turned to its colleagues, their crystalline forms resonating in shared amusement. Perhaps in a few centuries, with proper guidance, you'll achieve something worthwhile. Though I doubt your species will ever truly grasp the complexities of quantum manipulation. Sarah maintained her deferential smile. even as she noted how the aliens completely missed the true purpose of her inefficient containment fields. They were so focused on raw power output that they failed to recognize the precise quantum tunneling effects her team had perfected. After the inspection, Sarah received an encrypted message from Admiral Torres. Operation Shadow Fleet is go. All ships in position. How long do you need for the Helios? She looked up at the massive cannon, its quantum core pulsing with carefully contained energy. 48 hours. But sir, we need to discuss the targeting priorities. The Helios isn't just a weapon. If we use it right, it could change everything. The next 2 days were a blur of final preparations, while Earth's diplomatic corps continued to stall with increasingly desperate requests for deadline extensions. The real work happened in secret. Ships equipped with QP-1s moved silently into position, hidden among the debris of the asteroid belt. The Helios cannon underwent its final calibrations, its true purpose known only to Sarah and a select few others. The collective's patience finally ran out. Their massive ships began appearing through spatial tiers across the solar system, a fleet of over 30 capital ships, each bristling with weapons that could reduce Earth's cities to ash in seconds. Your time is up. The collective commander's voice boomed across all frequencies. Submit to integration, or we will demonstrate the price of defiance. Sarah stood in the Helios control center, watching as the massive alien fleet took up attack positions. Everything hinged on precise timing now. The collected ships had formed exactly the pattern she predicted. Their tactical doctrine was as rigid as their approach to quantum physics. All QP-1 equipped ships, stand by. Admiral Torres's voice was calm and steady. Dr. Chen, is the Helios ready? Sarah looked at her console one final time, double-checking the quantum harmonics. What she'd told Martinez wasn't entirely accurate. The Helios wasn't just a backup plan. It was something far more ambitious. Helios is ready, Admiral. And sir, I suggest you warn all ships to prepare for something unexpected. The fate of humanity now rested on her understanding of quantum mechanics and on the collective's fundamental misunderstanding of the same. The collective's ultimatum hung in the silence of space. Their massive fleet had arranged itself in a perfect geometric pattern around Earth's orbital plane, a formation designed to demonstrate both their tactical superiority and their absolute confidence. In the Armstrong Base's control center, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the enemy ship's quantum signatures pulse with barely contained power. All ships, execute Operation Shadow Strike. Admiral Torres's command cut through the tension. Good hunting. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet emerged from their concealment in the asteroid belt. The ships were small compared to the collective's massive vessels, but each carried multiple QP-1 weapons. The collective's response was immediate and predictable. This is your final warning. The alien commander's voice boomed. Your primitive vessels are no match for our technology. Stand down or be destroyed. The collective ships began powering up their weapon systems, their crystalline structures glowing with increasing intensity. Their quantum shields, visible as shimming barriers of pure energy, snapped into place. All ships, hold position, Torres ordered. Dr. Chen, you have control of the operation. Sarah took a deep breath, her fingers dancing across the quantum harmonics console. Remember, everyone, timing is crucial. The QP-1s must hit their targets simultaneously, or the collective will adapt. Transmitting targeting solutions now. The quantum computers she designed had already mapped the exact vulnerabilities in each collective ship's shields. The aliens' reliance on overwhelming power meant their quantum fields had predictable resonance patterns, if you knew exactly where to look. All ships report ready, Torres announced. Sarah nodded. Execute in 3, 2, 1. Across the solar system, humanity's ships fired their QP-1 weapons in perfect synchronization. The quantum-assisted plasma bolts looked almost insignificant against the backdrop of space. The collective didn't even bother to evade, their shields glowing brighter in anticipation of easily deflecting such primitive weapons. Then the laws of quantum mechanics, properly understood and precisely applied, came into play. Each QP1 bolt struck its target's shields at exactly the right point, creating a cascading quantum disruption. The collective's massive energy barriers didn't just fail, they collapsed inward, their own power turned against them. Within seconds, 15 of their largest ships had lost shields completely. The collective fleet's perfect formation dissolved into chaos. Their commander's voice returned, this time with an edge of panic. Impossible. Your weapons are not capable of. Now, Sarah commanded, activating the Helios cannon. The massive weapon's quantum core pulsed once, and a beam of perfectly contained plasma shot into space. But instead of striking the enemy fleet, it seemed to miss entirely. Dr. Chen, Torres started. The Helios. Wait for it. Sarah interrupted, her eyes fixed on her quantum readings. The Helios beam had done exactly what she'd designed it to do. The laws of quantum mechanics that the collective had never fully grasped were about to demonstrate their true power. The Helios beam hadn't missed. It had created a precisely calibrated quantum field that now permeated the entire battle space. As the collective ships attempted to open spatial tiers for retreat, they found themselves trapped. They can't escape, Sarah explained, allowing herself a small smile. The Helios didn't just create a quantum barrier, it's rewriting the local laws of physics. Their brute force approach to quantum manipulation is now working against them. The more power they try to use, the more entangled they become. The collective ship's attempts to break free only made their situation worse. Their massive power plants, trying to force their way through the quantum barrier, were instead feeding energy into it, strengthening the effect. Collective command. Admiral Torres broadcast on all frequencies. Your fleet is contained. Your shields are vulnerable to our weapons. Surrender, and we can discuss terms that don't involve integration. For several tense moments, there was no response. The collective ships continued their futile attempts to break free, their crystalline structures pulsing with increasingly erratic patterns. Finally, the collective commander's voice returned, noticeably lacking its previous arrogance. This is unprecedented. How did you achieve this level of quantum manipulation? By understanding it, Sarah replied simply. Power isn't everything. Precision, understanding, and elegance matter more than brute force. The battle had lasted less than 10 minutes. Humanity's first major engagement with an alien power had ended not in a violent slugging match, but with a demonstration of superior understanding. The collective fleet, for all its impressive size and power, had been rendered helpless by weapons that worked smarter, not harder. But Sarah knew this was just the beginning. The collective was vast, and this defeat would send shockwaves through their civilization. As she watched the enemy ships power down their weapons, she was already thinking about the next phase of her plan. Because the Helios cannon hadn't just created a containment field, it had proved a theory she'd been working on since first detecting the collective's quantum signatures. A theory that, if correct, could change the balance of power not just in this battle, but across the galaxy itself. News of the collective fleet's defeat spread across galactic communication channels like a quantum shockwave. In the 3 weeks since the battle, Earth had become the focal point of unprecedented diplomatic activity. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Galactic Embassy in Geneva, watching as representatives from a dozen different species arrived through specially constructed quantum gates. The Arcasian delegation is requesting another demonstration of the quantum containment field, Admiral Torres informed her, scrolling through his diplomatic briefings. And the Meridian Consortium has offered us exclusive trading rights in exchange for consulting on their quantum drive systems. Sarah shook her head, her attention focused on the quantum readings she was getting from each alien delegation's technology. They're all missing the point. They think we've just developed a more powerful weapon, but that's not what the Helios actually proved. Before Torres could respond, a priority alert flashed across their screens. A massive quantum distortion was forming in high Earth orbit, larger than anything they'd seen before. The defense grid automatically activated, and QP-1 equipped ships moved to intercept. "Hold positions," Sarah commanded, studying the readings. "This isn't an attack." The spatial tear that formed was unlike the brutal rips in spacetime that the collective typically created. This one emerged with an almost elegant precision, its quantum harmonics perfectly balanced. Through it came a ship that defied conventional physics. It seemed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "This is Administrator Verix of the Quantum Conclave." A new voice announced on all channels. "We request immediate dialogue with the one you call Dr. Chen." The Quantum Conclave was something the collective had mentioned only in passing. A mysterious group of theorists who had allegedly achieved quantum enlightenment. Most species considered them a myth. In a secure conference room deep within the embassy, Sarah found herself face to face with beings of pure quantum energy. Administrator Verix's form shifted constantly, maintaining coherence through principles she had only begun to theorize about. "Your Helios device." Verix's voice resonated directly in her mind. "It wasn't designed as a weapon at all, was it?" Sarah smiled. "No, it was a proof of concept. The containment field it generated wasn't just stopping the collective ships, it was demonstrating a fundamental truth about the nature of quantum reality." "You've discovered the quantum harmony principle," another conclave member observed. "Something the collective, with all their power, never understood." "That's why you're here," Sarah realized. "You've been watching, waiting for a species to make this breakthrough." Verix's form pulsed with approval. "For millennia, the collective has dominated through brute force application of quantum technology. They never sought to understand the deeper principles. But you humans, you achieved in decades what they couldn't in thousands of years." Meanwhile, in the collective's central command, the defeated Earth had sparked a crisis. Supreme Commander Xalex faced a council chamber full of angry representatives. "How were we defeated by primitives?" one counselor demanded. "Our quantum technology is superior in every way." "Is it?" a younger council member challenged. "These humans didn't overpower our ships. They understood something about quantum mechanics that we didn't. Perhaps it's time we questioned our fundamental assumptions." The debate was interrupted by the arrival of urgent news. The Quantum Conclave, long absent from galactic affairs, had publicly announced their support for Earth. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Back on Earth, Sarah led a team of human and alien scientists in expanding her quantum research. The Helios cannon's containment field had proven that quantum reality could be manipulated with precision rather than power, and the implications went far beyond weapons. "The quantum field modifications we're detecting from your device," one Arcasian scientist observed. "They could revolutionize everything from space travel to energy production." Sarah nodded, but her attention was on a new set of calculations. The Quantum Conclave had shared information that confirmed her theories. The universe operated on principles far more subtle and beautiful than the collective's brute force approach could ever reveal. "We're detecting massive quantum distortions from collective space," an aide reported. "Their entire fleet is mobilizing." "Let them come," Sarah replied calmly. "They still haven't understood what really happened here. This was never about weapons or power. It's about understanding the true nature of reality." Admiral Torres raised an eyebrow. "Try telling them that." "Actually," Sarah smiled, bringing up a new set of quantum equations, "that's exactly what I intend to do." The Helios didn't just prove a theoretical principle, it opened up possibilities that the collective never imagined. And now, with the Conclave's help, we can show them what they've been missing all along. As she spoke, the quantum sensors detected more ships arriving in the solar system, not just from the collective, but from dozens of species across the galaxy. Earth had become the center of a quantum revolution, and Sarah Chen was about to reveal its true significance to the universe. The Sol system had become an impossible sight. Thousands of ships from across the galaxy hung in space like stars brought to life, their quantum signatures creating a symphony of energy that Dr. Sarah Chen could read like music. At the edge of the system, the collective's massive armada waited, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. They're demanding we surrender the Helios technology and submit to immediate integration. Admiral Torres reported from the Combined Fleet Command Center. They're calling our alliance with the Quantum Conclave a violation of natural order. Sarah stood before the holographic display, showing the positions of all ships, but her attention was on a different set of readings entirely. The quantum field modifications she'd been implementing with the Conclave's help were spreading through space exactly as theorized. Natural order, she mused. That's exactly what they've never understood. Administrator Verix, are your people ready? The quantum being's form shimmered into existence beside her. All is prepared. But the collective's arrival presents an opportunity we didn't anticipate. Their entire civilization is here to witness. Good, Sarah smiled. Because this was never about defeating them. It's about showing them what they've been missing. The collective's ultimatum cut through all communications. This is Supreme Commander Xalax. Your interference in the natural progression of species cannot be tolerated. Surrender now, or face the combined might of the greatest quantum fleet ever assembled. Sarah opened a channel to all ships, her voice calm and clear. This is Dr. Sarah Chen. Before you attack, I want to show you something. Something about the quantum nature of reality that your civilization, for all its power, has never understood. She nodded to her team, and the Helios cannon activated. But this time, it was different. Combined with technology from a dozen alien species and insights from the Quantum Conclave, the device wasn't creating a containment field. It was doing something far more profound. The quantum field spread across the solar system like ripples in a cosmic pond. Every ship's sensors detected it, but none could identify its purpose. It wasn't a weapon or a shield. It was more fundamental than that. What you're detecting, Sarah explained, is quantum harmony. Not forced or controlled, but understood and guided. The same principles that let us defeat your fleet, but applied to creation rather than conflict. The field reached the collective fleet. Their massive ships, primed for battle, suddenly found their quantum systems responding in unexpected ways. Not failing, but synchronizing with the field itself. Impossible. Xalax's voice betrayed both fear and wonder. Our quantum cores are. They're operating at 300% efficiency, but we're not detecting any power increase. Because power was never the point, Sarah replied. Your civilization mastered quantum manipulation through force, always pushing for more energy, more control. But you never stopped to understand the elegant mathematics beneath it all. The field continued to spread, and with it, understanding began to dawn across the assembled fleets. Ships that had required enormous energy to operate found themselves running on a fraction of their former power. Quantum drives that had torn holes in space discovered they could slip between realities with barely a ripple. This is what the Helios was really designed to prove, Sarah continued. Not that humanity was stronger, but that we had discovered something fundamental about how the universe works. Something that makes conflict over quantum technology pointless. In the collective's flagship, Supreme Commander Xalax watched as centuries of assumptions about quantum physics were transformed. His own ship's systems were operating with an efficiency that their best scientists had claimed was theoretically impossible. How? He finally asked, his voice stripped of all its former arrogance. How did your species discover this when we couldn't see it after thousands of years? Because you were too powerful, Sarah explained. Your civilization's mastery of quantum energy meant you never had to look for elegant solutions, but we humans had to understand the principles first, before we could even begin to manipulate them. The Quantum Conclave's ships moved through the assembled fleet, their forms now visible to all as they helped adjust each vessel's quantum systems to work in harmony with the new field. This is the true revolution. Administrator Verix's voice joined Sarah's. Not a weapon or a shield, but a fundamental shift in how quantum reality can be understood and utilized. The humans didn't just discover a new technology. They found a better way. Over the next several hours, The greatest fleet battle in galactic history transformed into the greatest scientific symposium ever held. Ships that had come to fight instead found themselves participating in a revolution in quantum physics. Sarah watched from the command center as the quantum field stabilized across the entire system. Humanity's first major contribution to galactic civilization wasn't conquest or resistance. It was understanding. They had shown that true power came not from force, but from comprehension. The Collective Council is requesting to open diplomatic relations, Torres reported with a smile. As equals this time. Good, Sarah replied, already focused on her next set of calculations. Because what we've demonstrated today is just the beginning. The quantum principles we've discovered, they're going to change everything. As she spoke, the assembled ships of 1,000 civilizations hung in space around Earth, their quantum systems humming in perfect harmony. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not through superior firepower, but through superior understanding. And in that understanding lay the seeds of a transformation that would reshape the galaxy itself.